For my project, I researched transgender and intersex discrimination in the United States. To start things off, let's look at some terms we should know. The LGBTQ community has smaller subcultures of transgender and intersex individuals. A transgender individual is a person that has a personal gender identity that does not match the biological sex they were given at birth. An intersex individual is a person that is born with a sexual anatomy that does not exactly fit the definitions of male or female. Often doctors declare the biological sex that best matches the intersex child or surgically assign a sex to the child. The gender binary classification system is the classification system we use for gender in the United States. We declare people as male or female, and we lack any recognition for anyone in between. Personal identity is made up of biological sex, gender, and gender expression.
Different ways that we present or perform gender through our actions, our dress, and our demeanor, and biological sex or anatomical sex, the physical characteristics that make up our body that in many people's minds equal gender. But don't.
A transgender female is biologically a male at birth, but expresses herself as a female and prefers the pronouns she and her. A transgender male is the opposite. It's important to understand that many transgender individuals do go through hormone therapy treatment in order to help them better resemble their desired gender. However, not all transgender individuals take hormones, and even fewer get gender reassignment surgeries. It is important that we expand our views of gender as a spectrum in the United States in order to avoid the structural and cultural violence that the government perpetrates on transgender individuals. Trans people need accurate and consistent IDs to open bank accounts, start new jobs, enroll in school, and travel. Certain states have established intrusive and personal requirements like proof of surgery or a court-ordered approval in order to change gender on an identification card. The National Transgender Discrimination Survey has published findings that only 21% of the trans population that has transitioned were able to update their IDs and records to match their gender. Gender incongruent identification is a factor that leads to discrimination in housing, employment, and public benefits. Only a small portion of the trans population gets reassignment surgery, therefore requiring proof of surgery is discriminatory. Housing discrimination and homelessness is a major problem that affects the LGBTQ community, but specifically the transgender community. Family rejection or unsafe living condition pushes much of the transgender youth out of their living conditions at an early age. There are over 1.6 million homeless youth in the United States, and it's estimated that 20 to 40% of this youth is made up of LGBT-identified youth. Transgender youth as well as adults run into difficulties with homeless shelters and social service organizations because many of the shelters are gender-based, perpetrating the problem. The Fair Housing Act prohibits refusal to rent or sell based on gender, as well as national origin, religion, sex, race, and color. However, the HUD has found that 1 in 5 trans individuals have been discriminated against when seeking a home, and 1 in 10 have been evicted from their houses based on their gender identity. Lack of housing exposes the homeless transgender community to unsafe living conditions, health complications, and much more. Public services like public health care and public restrooms have threatened the transgender community and where they stand. The Affordable Care Act was made to prohibit healthcare discrimination against the LGBT community. However, in January, under the Trump administration, the Conscience and Religious Freedom Division promoted discrimination by healthcare providers who were able to cite religious or moral reasons for denying healthcare. Within the past year, the Trump administration has allowed for states to individually require more checks like proof of work when administering public assistance programs like Medicaid. This limits the trans individuals from accessing public health care because their unemployment rate is 3 times higher than the national average. Public restrooms in the recent years have become a controversial topic. At the moment, 19 states and Washington, D.C. have anti-discrimination laws in place allowing transgender individuals to access the bathrooms that they express. Arguments against trans individuals would be sexual predators attacking women and children in bathrooms, being transgender not a valid condition, and children are too young to know if they're actually transgender. Transgender discrimination in the United States is a major problem that has been perpetrated by all levels of society. On a micro level, a transgender individual experiences gender dysphoria and family rejection. On a meso level, discrimination comes from landlords, employers, and people in the community. Housing and restroom discrimination plays into the meso level. On a macro level, requiring proof of surgery for name change and proof of work for Medicaid coverage is structural indirect violence. In conclusion, the United States needs to expand their ideas of gender to include more than just the binary view. Normal transgender participation in society is achievable, as we could see in various other cultures. In Indian, Samoan, and Native American cultures, alternative genders are fully integrated into the society. Our society could benefit from incorporating the ideas from the third side of the provider, the teacher, and the bridge builder in order to help the trans youth know their potential, bring peace and understanding to controversy, and improve relationships between the government and the oppressed.